So we're here in San Luis Ranch in San Luis Obispo, which is one of the newer developments here in the area. And I want to give you a quick tour. As a real estate broker, I get a lot of questions from people who are moving to the area on what I think about San Luis Ranch. So I want to give you my thoughts, the pros and the cons. I think it's a great community, but there's some things that you need to know as a potential buyer if you're looking to move to this community. So join me for the tour. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pros and the cons of San Luis Ranch here in San Luis Obispo. So let's go ahead and first talk about the location. So San Luis Obispo, if you're not familiar, maybe you are familiar, is a fairly small town, small community, and we've got about 50,000 people that live here, and that increases when Cal Poly is in session. So the traffic here is not too bad, and most neighborhoods are pretty well located when it comes to being close to downtown and also being close to hiking, which is quite popular here in San Luis Obispo. So overall location here, San Luis Ranch, I would give it an A-. I think it's a really good spot. It's right off the 101. So if you want to head down to Pismo Beach or Avila Beach and enjoy a nice beach day on the weekend, let's say, you're going to be there in about 10, maybe 15 minutes. Lots of shopping nearby. So you have Nordstrom Rack, you have Costco, you have Target, you have Home Depot, all within 5 minutes. If you want to head on over to Los Osos, maybe about 10, 12 minutes, you're right there on Los Osos Valley Road. So location overall, very good. It's right off Madonna Road. So there's a lot of shopping options, a lot of grocery shopping options, a lot of clothing options, Sprouts, like I said, Target, Whole Foods. So overall, location-wise, I say A-. So what can you expect to pay for a home here? If you're looking for a townhome or a condo, there are the Harvest Vista condos, the Fig townhomes, and the Workforce Housing Harvest Lofts. Now, if you qualify for the Harvest Lofts, you're going to expect to pay around $450,000 if you have that workforce housing income. There's a clubhouse and a pool in this area, and this is off Madonna Road. So more entry-level price points. You're going to expect to pay for the Harvest Vista condos $600,000 to around $750,000, for a 2-bedroom condo. It's going to be a little bit more expensive if you're looking for the Fig townhomes, and those are going to be ranging from mid 700s to low 800,000 for a 3-bedroom, 4-bathroom home, around 1,400 square feet. If you're looking for a single-family home in this community, expect to pay between $1 million to 1.2, maybe 1.3 on the high end, but about 1.1 is generally going to be the price point for a single-family home here in the San Luis Ranch community. So let's go ahead and talk about a con, and I'm glad that I'm making this video today because, as you can see, my hair is blowing around. So it can get a little windy here in San Luis Ranch. So if you're looking in San Luis Ranch, the Laguna Lake area, this whole region has a wind tunnel that kind of comes through from Los Osos Valley Road here to San Luis Ranch. Now, this isn't a problem if it cools things down, but just be advised that San Luis Ranch, Laguna Lake area, anything right there, Los Osos Valley Road, you're going to have wind, especially in the afternoon. So not a big deal, but as you can see, you get a little bit of wind. So let's talk about a pro. I think a lot of these homes are well designed. I think they look nice. It's a pleasant street to walk down. You're not going to have a lot of through traffic. So if you want that kind of quintessential California American neighborhood, it's going to have it here. These homes are well designed. They look nice. It feels nice walking around here. So definitely, if you want a walkable neighborhood, maybe you've got kids or maybe you walk dogs and you want something that feels good, that you feel confident walking in, comfortable walking in, this is a great area. Let's talk about a con. So if you want outdoor space, you want privacy, this is probably not going to be the neighborhood for you. As you can see here by this home behind me, you're right next to your neighbor right here. So there's not a lot of privacy between homes. You're right next to each other. Very small lot sizes, maybe 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. So if you're looking for a home, maybe you're upgrading from a condo, you want to buy your first home and you want more space for your dog, for your kids, for yourself, maybe have a garden, this might not be the best community for you. With that being said, there is a fair amount of community space here for this area. So as you can see right behind me, this is one of the community spaces here, which allows for a lot of games or grass or a place to take your dogs. So if you want more of that community feel, these parks, this is going to be a great spot for you. But again, not great if you want a lot of space in your backyard. So one of the pros here for San Luis Ranch is the amount of commercial space. Over 150,000 square feet of commercial space here for San Luis Ranch, and it's within walking distance. There also is a preschool here, so if you have kids, perfect for you, and it's just, like I said, a couple minutes away. So as you can see behind me, there's Lucy's Coffee Company, Paolo Mesa Pizza over there where the community space is. So if you like pizza, it's perfect. And then you have the marketplace there. So very convenient. This is definitely one of the pros here for San Luis Ranch. One of the only communities to have this mixed use commercial space available within a 4 or 5 minute walking distance from the actual community. So definitely a pro. Now this community has a mixture of townhomes, condos, studios, and single family homes. Right now there are about 580 or so residential units in this community with plans up to about 650. So about the final phase is being done here, and most of the sales here in this area are resales. I'm glad I'm taking this video right now because one of the cons for this particular spot, if you hear that airplane ahead, we're right overhead the flight path from San Luis Airport. So you are going to hear periodically some airplanes overhead. So, not too much of an inconvenience, but definitely something that you should be aware of. Well, really any community here in the Los Osos Valley Road area is going to have that, but just something to be mindful of. You want to know what might be flying overhead before you move in. That might be a deal breaker for you, or it may not bother you at all. So I think one of the pros also comes with a con. So you get the choice of a lot of new homes that are built move-in ready, but sometimes newer developments like this can lack some of the charm that older, more mature neighborhoods have here in San Luis Obispo. So that's just something to keep in mind. Generally speaking, for new developments, you don't have as many options to make it your own. It's going to be a little bit more, I don't want to say cookie cutter, but a little bit more cookie cutter. So if you want some more charm, some more lived in feel, mature landscaping type for your neighborhood, you're probably not going to get that here. Well, you're not going to get that here. But if you want something that's move-in ready, nice architecture, I really like the style of these homes, walkability, community feel, and that commercial space that you can walk to, have a beer with your friends, have a pizza with your family, whatever you want to do, you're right there. Close to shopping, great location, affordable price point here in San Luis Obispo, relatively speaking, for a new home. I think this community has a lot to offer. And it just really depends on what you want. If your budget is right around $1 million to 1.1 here in San Luis Obispo, which is right about the median price for a home here in San Luis Obispo, you have an option like this. San Luis Ranch, new build, great location, great amenities, or you can have a more mature neighborhood where there's more growth for equity, maybe there's more established neighborhoods, And it really just depends on what you want. Do you want to buy a home that needs a little bit of updating, that you can make it your own and have some equity? Or do you want a house where you can move in right away and start enjoying your neighborhood? It's really ultimately a decision for yourself. I definitely like this community. For me, it would be important to have a little bit more space in the backyard. So that's why it wouldn't work for me and my family, but you know what? Not everybody needs that. And there's a lot of pros here with this community when it comes to the location to the organic farm, the location to the commercial space. So I think those negatives or those pros outweigh the cons. But ultimately, it's up to you. What do you think? Have you decided to move to San Luis Obispo? Have you contemplated moving here to San Luis Ranch? What are some pros about this community? Do you live here already? Leave your comments in the comment section below. I'd love to know what you think about this area, or if you've thought about other areas here in San Luis Obispo in that same price point range as here for San Luis Ranch, and what the pros and cons are for you in your mind here, San Luis Ranch versus other neighborhoods.